Hello students. In Unit 3rd, we are going to discuss the novel, and it is a very popular novel that we are going to discuss. We have already gone through the types of short stories and how these short stories needs to be studied through a systematic approach, or what to study that we have studied in the short stories. The little bit say time that we need to spend on study of stories. But in case of the length of the short story and the length of the novels, we will find that the novel needs lots of time and so many of days through uh, through which we can read the short story and to know the difference. You may easily find them out. So the novel that we are going to discuss is Pride and Prejudice by the legendary author Jane Austen. Jane Austen was the daughter of a clergyman in a small village called Hampshire. She was born on 16th December 1775 and was the seventh of her parents' child. See, this very much say biographical details that had figured in her novels and that we have seen in this present novel, that is Pride and Prejudice. She began writing at the age of 14 for the amusement of her family, and when she was 20 she began writing novel, and that novel is The First Impression. It is rewritten again and published in 1880 by the name of the first great novel, Pride and Prejudice. Jane Austen's plots often explore the dependence of women on marriage in the pursuit of the social standing and economic security. The novels of the sensibility in the second half of the 18th century are part of transition that we see into 19th century realism. Her use of biting irony, along with realism, humor, social commentary, had long earned her acclaim, and she had popular audience alike. Six novels were published in the following order, the last two coming out a year after she had died: Sense and Sensibility, Pride and Prejudice, Mansfield Park, Emma, Northanger Abbey, Persuasion, are the order in which these novels were published. Before finishing her last novel, Sedition, she died in July 1870 at the age of just 41. Emma is acclaimed by the critics to be a masterpiece, but the most popular novel, that is The Pride and Prejudice, we have very delightful heroines ever depicted in the form of Elizabeth Bennet. And this Elizabeth Bennet turns out to be a very intelligent, wise, and very delicate in her love explorations. She delicately and yet satirizes the British country folk of her day, thereby commenting on the foibles of the human nature. Like many works of arts, the Pride and Prejudice will remain as one of the great classics of the years to come. The popularity of this novel is so great that even today, after 200 years, this novel is being read and taught across the universities in graduate classes and postgraduate courses. It was also been adopted in the film productions, both abroad and India. We have such a biographical sources that we can locate in her autobiographical novels to some extent, and that is what we have seen. There are certain autobiographical details that we may see in her work of art. If we think about the Emma, the sense and sensibility, her Mansfield Park, Northanger Abbey, Persuasion, which were published posthumously, and unfinished fictions edition. There are other works that she could write, plan of a novel, and letters too. So this is a very beautiful contribution towards the literature and the work of art. So we had to understand her contribution in the 18th and 19th century novel in the British history. As we have seen, the characters, if we if we go through the characters, we will find that there are the list of characters that we need. The students need to keep this character list, or you can just take down the characters. Elizabeth Bennet, or I will share these names of characters with you. Elizabeth Bennet, she is the protagonist of the novel, most intelligent, sensible of the five sisters, Bennet sisters. She is very well read, and she is very adroit to understand the love advances of Mr. Darcy. Then we have Fitzwilliam Darcy, hero of the novel. He was a wealthy gentleman, the master of the estate Pemberley. See, we have seen that Mr. Fitzwilliam Darcy is a nephew of Lady Catherine de Bourgh. He's an aristocratic lady. He is very intelligent, honest, who used to look down upon the poor class, and that is what he was very class conscious that we see. Jane Bennet is the eldest daughter and most beautiful daughter of Bennet family. She is a reserved type of a lady. She was in love with Mr. Charles Bingley. Interact, contrast, and starkly. We have Charles Bingley. Next character. He is in love with Jane Bennet. Often made the rounds to Netherfield Park, an estate of the Bennets. He is a genial, well-intentioned gentleman. He is blissfully and caring about the class differences. We have Mr. Bennet, the patriarch, the head of the family, Bennet family. Then Mr. Bennet is sarcastic, cynical, loves his library. Mrs. Bennet is a bit of a noisy woman, behaving such foolish, And the intention status to get her daughters married, and that what she wish. So she was finding best suitors, suitable suitors to her daughter, and that is what she tries to attract these gentlemen towards her daughters. We have George Wickham, handsome fortune hunting militia officer, is a good looking, but he got disrepute, villainous type of behavior, stooge. Just, just we can think of him as stooge. Lydia Bennett, the youngest of his gossipy, mature, self-involved, and Lydia flings up and ends up her relation with Mr. Fitzwilliam, Mr. Darcy. Why? Oh, Wickham, elope with Mr. Wickham, and that causes the disrepute and so many family problems to the Bennett family. We have Mr. Collins. Collins is a pompous, idiotic clergyman who tries foolishly to attract Elizabeth, then to Jane, but both of them rejected him. He was rejected. He has very great respect to Lady Catherine de Bourgh. His snobbishness and formal type of behaving interests us much. We have Miss Bingley. She is also a selfish, snobbish type of a lady. Miss Bingley bears inordinate disdain to the Elizabeth Bennet's middle class family background. Her only attempt is to garner Mr. Darcy's attention towards her and to express dislike for the Elizabeth's self-possessed character so that he may not attract towards Elizabeth. We have Lady Catherine de Bourgh, the aristocratic lady. She is the lady or aunt of Mr. Collins, as well as Mr. Collins is a founder, but she cared him and raised him, especially in her attempts in order to order the middle class Elizabeth away from her well-bred nephew. Mr. and Mrs. Gardiner. Mrs. Bennet's brother and wife Gardiner, full of common sense, and they were very beautiful couple that proved very useful at the end of the novel to the Bennett family. Bennett फॅमिलीला खूप शेवटी कादंबरीच्या शेवटी उपयोगी पडणारी ही फॅमिली आहे. Mr. and Mrs. Gardiner. Charlotte Lucas, Elizabeth's dearest friend, pragmatic. She's Elizabeth romantic. She's very romantic and 6 years old. She gets married with Mr. Collins when Mr. Collins cannot find his love and lady to marry with in the Netherfield Park. He walks to the Lucas family, nearby family. Georgiana Darcy. Georgiana Darcy is a sister of Fitzwilliam Darcy. She has a great skill of playing at pianoforte, and she is a very docile, noble type of lady. We have Mary Bennett, sister of Bennett, Elizabeth Bennett. Catherine Bennett. We have fourth sister, like Lydia. She is a girlish, enthralled Maria Bennett. We see. So, like these characters that we see in the story. So, like this, we had to understand the characters that we see. So, before going into the plot of the novel, it is very much implicit for all of us to study the characters first, and then we should go into the next segment of that. With these words, I hope you will write them down, these characters. We'll try to listen and re-listen to this video so that you will get most of the characters, and this understanding will help you to read and understand the plot of the novel Pride and Prejudice. I would suggest you to go through the movie that is on the YouTube so you can go through the movie. Thank you.